friends, this is Shelley. I'm so glad you're joining me. In today's tutorial, we are going to make Ava's friend. Ava is the granddaughter of Renda, who is a member of my Facebook group and my YouTube channel. And she has recently made this little doll for her granddaughter and sent me the pattern and said, why don't you make one of these dolls and put it on your channel? And I said, sure, I would gladly do that. Now, we're calling it Ava's friend because she made it for her granddaughter, but this is really an Izzy doll. If you do not know the story behind the Izzy dolls, you're going to want to watch this video right to the very end. At the very end of the video, I have some screens that are playing that will give you the story of the Izzy doll. And I would love for you to make sure that you read that because it's really a fantastic project. And I'm happy to add it to my channel as well. So these are Izzy dolls, and I'm going to make the blue one with you. We're going to use my 32 needle mushroom, which I'm so happy for because I haven't used it in a while. So we're going to pull that out. Before you get started, you're going to want to look down in the description box below and see all the yarn that I used. Too much to list here at the beginning of this video. So go down into the description box and see the yarns that I have used, and you choose the ones that you want to use. Use your favorite colors. I can't wait to see your finished projects. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. And friends, come on over to my Facebook group and post your projects there. Thanks again for joining me. I hope you have fun making an Izzy doll. All right, friends, I have my 32 needle mushroom set up. I love this machine, except for I don't use it very often because I haven't created too many patterns on it yet. I do have leg warmers on my channel, so be sure and look for those. But I'm happy and excited to add this next pattern so that I can make use of this, and hopefully in the future I'm going to start making more patterns using this machine. Okay, so we're going to bring our last pink and our first white in line with the yarn feeder. Now typically that would be needle 32, I think. I can't read these little numbers, but on my other centros, the one that's a different color is generally the last needle, but I like to make it needle 1. So I'm going to put it on the left side of my yarn feeder. We're going to take our first color of yarn, which is our shoes, and we're going to take black, and we're going to cast on with a drawstring cast on. I'm going to go in front of that first white, behind the next, in front and behind, all the way around. You're going to just let that yarn slip through your fingers. Don't put any extra tension on it. This cast on row does not count in our row counts. So I'm behind that last pink and I'm going to go into the yarn feeder. Now, if you watch my videos, you know I always hold my yarn in my fingers like this. But for this particular project, I'm going to stick it in the second tensioner. I'm still going to hold the yarn with my fingers so that I can feel if there's knots or a tight tension coming out of the skein. And just make sure that I have control of it. Okay, so we're going to now start counting. And again, this machine does not have a counter on it. I bought a counter for my other 2 centros and I need to still get one for this, so I'll have to mark it manually. I'll link the counters in the description box below, as well as the mushroom. This is row 1 and 2. I'm going to do 5 rows. 3, 4, and I take a black permanent marker and I mark that divider between the last pink and the first white, so I always see when the end of my row is coming around. That is 5. All right, so from there I'm going to mark my tally to 5, and we're going to then choose our color that is for our pants, and for me that is going to be the blue. So I'm going to cut this yarn tail, pop it into the center between the last pink and the first white. I'm going to take my, it's Bernat Super Value, which I don't use very often in my machines because Bernat Premium works 100% better, but I like this color and I'm going to use the ball. We'll go slow and we'll see how it turns out. We're going to add that yarn to our yarn feeder. I'm going to pop it into that second divider or tensioner. Then I'm going to do the jogless join. I'm going to take this around to the other side of that last needle. And what the reason, if you're new, the reason why we do a jogless join is because when we're knitting in the round, every row goes on top of each other as it starts a new row. And we want to now take that yarn from the color change. So this is color A, this is color B, and we want to move it in line so you have a straight row there. That's why we do the jogless join like what I'm going to show you. We have to knit about 3 or 4 rows before we can tie it off. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to knit 15 rows of this color. I'm going to knit 3 or 4 needles, and then I'm going to help these loops down under the dividers, and then I'm going to take my ends from my working yarn, from the tail and from the working hair, and I'm going to pull them away from each other, and that just, this one didn't need it, but it snugs up the tension on your first few needles there so that you don't have a really loose beginning of a row and then tighter as you go. So I'm going to knit 15 rows of this yarn. Always go a bit slower when you're changing colors and you're adding a different yarn to make sure that the two connect well together. See, I can feel that my yarn is really tight coming out of my ball, so I'm going to loosen that. And I'm going to knit 15 rows. I've just knit 4 rows. We're going to, I think I did 4. Did I do 3 or 4? I did 4. We're going to take our yarn tails and we're going to gently pull them away from each other. You will feel it slip into place. You can even hear it. So very gently, and when it stops, and you're going to tie one knot. Don't tie that one really tight or you'll pull it in there. Tie your second one tight. Then you can cut that off. Your jogless join is complete. So I'm going to continue knitting for 15 rows. This is 5. All right, so I have my 15 rows done, 20 rows in total, 5 black, 5 blue. I'm going to cut my yarn. I'm going to take it out of the yarn feeder. I'm going to pop it between the last pink and the first white. Now we're going to take our sweater color of choice, and I'm going to use this Caron Latte cake. I think it's a color blueberry. I can't remember. I will post it in the description box below and you'll have that. Now, when Renda made her doll, she used, I think it was called eyelet yarn or something. You'll see it in the picture because I posted the picture. And if you can find some of that, that's very pretty too. But I am going to use latte cakes, and I'm going to do my jogless join. I'm going to knit 4 or 5 needles. Pull both yarn ends away from each other to tighten up. Now we're going to knit 4 rows. And 1 more. Stopping with the black divider in front, so I know I've knit 4 rows. I'm going to take my jogless join tails, and I'm going to pull them away from each other. And tie them off. Cut them off. And Renda did 13 rows of sweater, so I'm going to do 13 rows till I get to row 33. And 13, watching for that black divider to come around. We're going to cut our tail, pop that in between the last pink and the first white. We're going to grab our face color. Whatever color you like. And I'm going to pop this into the yarn feeder. And again, I'll put the colors down in the description box below. We're going to do our jogless join. We're going to knit 4 or 5. We're going to help those loops down. We're going to take both yarn tails, pull them away from each other. I don't find it as necessary with the mushroom as it is on my other machines. And we're going to knit 10 rows, taking us to row 43. Knit 4 and then fix your jogless join. That's 4. And go a little past it. Tie it off. I'm going to complete 6 more rows till I have 10 rows. There we go. Finishing up row 10. I'm going to cut that tail, pop it in between the last pink and the first white. Now we're going to grab our color that we're going to use for our hat. And I'm using the same color that I'm using for my pant color. Now here's the thing. Renda knit her hat color, then she crocheted 2 rows around the top of that hat color so that she could have a little bit of a brim. I'm going to do that a little bit differently now for those of you who don't crochet. So we're going to do a hat total of 13 rows, but we're going to do the first 2 rows in a different color. So whatever color you want the brim of your hat to be, we're going to use those 2 rows. I'm going to choose back to my latte cake color here. So let me find the end. We're going to put that in. So whatever color you use for your sweater, I'm going to use that. And I'm going to knit a few needles here. Oops, I forgot to do the jogless join. So when you forget to do the jogless join, you can tie these off right away. I'll make sure that that join is at the back of the head. Cut that off. And we're going to knit 2 rows. Then we're going to change, cut that off, put that in there, grab our hat color, which is the same color as the pants. We're going to do a jogless join. We're going to knit 4 needles or 5. We're going to fix our tension. We're going to knit 11 rows of this color in total, but I'm going to knit 4 and then tie off my jogless join. Okay, I'm just going past those needles because we're going to continue on with this color, but I'm going to tighten my jogless join. So far we have 6 rows completed. 2 rows of the brim, 4 rows of the beanie color, and that's 6 in total. We need to have 13. So keep going till you have 13 rows. This is row 7. All right, so I finished the outside layer of my beanie. So I have my 2 rows for my brim. Then I did 11 rows of the blue, which is 13 rows in total. Now we've got to go the opposite direction of what we just did on our whole project. So now we're going to knit another 13 rows. This is for the inside of our project. We're going to knit another 13 rows of this beanie color. So when it's folded in half, you have the same color against the same color. Keep going till you have 13 more rows of this beanie color. That will take you to row 69 on your counter. Just recapping, we have done 5 rows for the feet. We did 15 rows for the pants. We did 13 rows for the sweater, 10 rows for the face. And then for the front of the beanie, there are 13 in total. And now we're starting the reverse side. So we've done 13 again, making that 26 rows in total for the beanie. Now we're going to switch back to our face color. Pop that in. We're going to do 10 rows. Jogless join. Knit 4 or 5. Help that down. Fix your tension. We're going to knit 10 rows in total, fixing our jogless join after the 4th row. Ten rows completed. Now we're going to pick up our piece and we're going to just roll it up on itself because it's touching the table, and when it touches the table and you keep knitting, it bunches up your work here. And number one, it loosens the tension that's pulling these stitches down. And also, if it bunches up too much, one of these loops can drop off these pink teeth, then you'll drop your row, and you don't want that. So always pick it up and roll it into a donut or fold it in on itself. However you want to do it, just bring it up nicely into the center of your machine like that. I have cut off my face color. I'm going to pop that into the center. You should have row 79 on your counter if you're following it that way. We're going to take our sweater color. We're going to pop this into our yarn guide. We're going to do our jogless join. Make sure that your yarn goes down into the very tip of this guide because it can be pretty tricky. And if it's not in the tip, then your needle will miss it. Okay? And you'll have a missed stitch. So I'm going to help these ones down just like that. We're going to knit 13 rows, taking us to row 92, fixing our jogless join after the 4th row. Finishing up row 13 of our sweater, we're going to cut our yarn, pop it between the last pink and the first white. We're going to take our color that we used for our pants. We're going to pop that into our yarn guide, into our feeder. We're going to bring that around to the other side of the needle, knit 4 or 5 stitches, help that down, fix our tension, knit 4 rows of the 15 rows that we're going to do, and we'll fix our jogless join. So you're going to knit 15 rows for your pant color, taking you to row 107. fixing my jogless join. That's 15 rows right there. I'm going to count my rows to make sure that I have it right. Now how you do that, I'm going to do it on this other side over there, but it's not on the camera, so I'm going to show you in case you don't know how you count your rows. You're going to count the bars that are underneath this divider, okay? Or any of the dividers from where it first starts. So here's where my first bar is right there. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and there's 2 under there, 14 and 15. So I've done 15 rows. We're ready to move on to our next and last set, which is 5 rows for the feet. I'm going to cut off my blue tail. I'm going to pop it into the center. I'm going to grab the black, pop it in, jogless join, fix your tension. Knit 4 of the 5 rows. And let's fix our jogless join. You can whip these projects off so fast. This is my last row and 5. But what we're going to do now is we're going to cut off a tail that's long enough to go around your barrel 1.5 to 2 times. And we're going to do the drawstring cast off, taking it out of my tensioner, out of my yarn guide. I'm going to put it between the last pink and the first white because we still have to finish knitting this one and we have to knit this one. So I'm going to go ahead and drop those 2 down. Now it's ready to be removed. You're going to put your yarn on your needle. We're going to do the drawstring cast off. To do that, I'm going to rotate my barrel. When that needle drops down, that loop is ready to take off. So I'm going to take it off, rotate my barrel. Be careful if you have other stitches that are ready to come off that you don't pull this up, because if you pull this up, that loop's going to come off those teeth. So pull it to the side, and then you can turn your barrel, and all of these are ready to come off. So be very careful. Take your needle, pull it through. When you get some slack on here, we'll take a few needles at a time. Pull it through, or a few loops at a time. I'll show you in 1 second. Now I've got some slack there. I'm going to turn my barrel, pick this up, hold it on my needle with the thumb, go over and over, over and over. This keeps wanting to get caught on those little dividers. Pull it through, and we're going to release our entire project. Pull through, and pull through, almost at the end. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the last one there. There we go. You have your project off your machine. Let's assemble. All right, friends, we have Ava's little friend off the machine, and we're going to unroll it. And we're going to stretch it all out widthwise and lengthwise. I'm going to put the story of the Izzy doll at the end of my video, so please be sure and watch for that and listen for it. It's a really neat story, actually. And we're going to then take one side and we're going to pull it tight, smoothing out the top as you pull this drawstring. You don't want to have it all bunched up. You need a nice smooth closure, just like that. We're going to reinforce that top. Now, black is very hard for you to see in the camera, but all I'm doing is picking up the very top row of stitches just to give it some reinforcement. And I'm going all around, smoothing that out, getting under the top row and pulling. Add a little bit more. Once you've done that, you can just pick up a couple strands here, even one is good. Tie off a knot. Pull that knot down with your thumb. You just need one because we'll tie another one in a second. We're going to put our hand into that tube. We're going to poke our needle through that top center that we have there. Grab the needle with your inside hand so you don't snag the inside of your work with your needle. Pinch the top. Pull it through. Pull this through. Now, if you have the wrong side out, it's okay. You can, after we finish closing this up, you can just reverse it so that your brim of your beanie is on the outside of your work. And then we're going to take this one and we're going to do the same thing. Find your end, pull that tight, smoothing it out as you go. Don't cut off your yarn tails though, because we're going to use them, at least one of them, for sewing. I'm going to smooth that out. We're going to reinforce the top of this other side now, same way we did the first side. Getting under that first row of stitches. And continue around. A little tiny bit more. And I'm going to pull that tight to close. I'm going to bring this inside one right up close to the outside one. Then I'm going to tie these two together in a firm knot. Don't pull so tight though that you bust it, because 4-weight yarn will actually break pretty easily if you give it a little too much of a tug. There we go. I can go ahead and hide this one tail because the other one's much longer. I'm going to use that one into the center. Let me just put my hand in there, it'll be easier. It can go right into the very center, but I'm going to smooth this out. So all my rows are lined up. You don't want it all bunched up at the top in the inside. You can take that through, pull it and give it a yank, and that'll put the knot to the inside. Then you can cut this off. Now again, put your hand in there, spread it out, and then just bring this all nice and smoothly out. We want to make sure that we have at least 13 rows here, because these two and 11 more is the first half, and then this half is folded right to the edge of this half of the beanie, and then you know you have it right, okay? Here's where I didn't do my jogless join. All these other ones you can't see where the jog is, because we did the jogless join. So that's the difference right there. This is going to be the back of my project now, so that we don't have that little discrepancy at the top there. So far, so good. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a piece of yarn that is the color of our face, and 1, 2, 3, 4 is good enough, 4 lengths of the width. And we're going to put a drawstring in there so that we have one that can separate the body from the head. So to do that, we're going to put this onto our yarn needle. I'm going to start at the back here. So if you have a side that you want to be the back, then that is the side you're going to choose. We're going to go down to this very first row of tan stitches here. Here's my V. This is one stitch. Okay, point of the V is closest to me and the wide part is up. We're going to just take the first half of that stitch, go over the second half. Take the first half of the next stitch, go over the second half, and do this all the way around. It doesn't really matter which leg of the V you're picking up, but I pick up the first leg, just like this, bring it all the way around. And that's what it's looking like. Oh, some little kid's gonna love the feel of this latte cake, Caron cake. It's one of my favorite yarns, as you know, if you follow my channel. I can't get enough of this Caron latte cake yarn. It works so beautifully in a machine, and it looks beautiful on pretty much any project. Check out my beanie and scarf playlist, because I have one skein beanie and scarf projects on my channel that you might be interested in. One cake, that is. Okay, I'm at the end. We're going to just cut this off a little shorter to make it a little bit more manageable. We're going to grab our fiber fill and we're going to stuff our project. Taking that fiber fill, I always separate it like this. I think it makes it softer and I think it goes further. It's all just compacted in that box and you just need to uncompact it. Pop that in there. And in there. Now I have Chubby Bear, Chubby Bunny, different projects like that on my animal playlist where it's basically the same kind of a project as what this is, same technique. And I stuff it really fat because it's a chubby. I don't want this one to be really fat, so we just want it to be full, but not excessively full. But I always like to fill my projects before I tighten the head to the degree that I want it tightened. I just find then it just stays nicer in place. I just like doing it that way, okay? So here we've got our piece stuffed. It's nice and firm, but yet soft. Got a little bit more in the body than in the legs, so I'm gonna pop a little bit more down there. Gonna work it so it's just nice. And that's good for now. We're going to then take our back. We're going to tie this. You want to have a defined neck, but you don't want to do that, okay? It kills me whenever I see that done on a project. People will do this and they'll tighten it as tight as they can get it. Each to his own, but I think that that tightening it too tight makes it look like you're strangling the poor guy. So give it a nice definition, but don't overdo it. And then I should have done my surgical knot, which I didn't do. I'm going to do because I'll show you a way to do it because somebody taught it to me and it makes a difference. It's hard to tie something by yourself, so because it just wants to come undone. So you just make your first knot and you go around one more time. That's a surgical knot. Then when you tighten it, it doesn't come apart so easily and you have a chance to get in there and make your second knot. There we go. You can leave that hanging because if you decide later that you do want to make it a little bit tighter, you've got that edge that you can go around and do it again, but that's perfect for what I would want, okay? If you have safety eyes and you want to put those in, this would be the time to do it. Renda did hers with yarn and what she did, and you can take a look because there's a picture of it at the front of the video. On the inside of the eye, she went over 2 bars, and then she went over 1 bar, and then the outside was 2. Inside over 1/2 of the stitch, outside of the eye thing was 2. I'm going to use safety eyes for mine, so I'm going to go grab those. All right, so these are 10mm eyes. I get them from Amazon. I'll link them as well. I could put the color underneath. It comes with a color ring that you can put and you can see the shade through. This one is pink and this is a little boy, so I'm not going to use that. I'm going to choose not to, and then it stays clear. What I've done is I put them 3 rows down, and I have 2.5 rows, or do I have full 3? I have full 3 rows in between. No, 3.5. 1, 2, 3. Hold on, let me just see here. Got it in there, and I have 1, 2, 3 rows in between. Okay, so I have in the center of this row, and then there's 3 full rows in between, and then it's in the center of the next row, and it's 3 bars down, so 3 rows down. Okay, 1, 2, it's in the 3rd stitch. So in the 3rd stitch, and then 3 full rows in between is how I have placed them. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some hot glue into the center of this back. So here's the bowl part of the back. That's the other part. I'm going to put some hot glue into that bowl. Then I'm going to push them on to the back of my eyes. I can't do that with you because it's not in this location. And so if I'm making something that I know is going to be for a child, I'll always put hot glue in there to make sure it's secured, because then it not only sticks it to the plastic post of the eye, the glue also adheres to the yarn that's at the back of the project. So I have no worries that it's going to come out. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to glue gun that, and I'll be back with you. All right, so once we have the eyes placed where you want them, we're going to finish stuffing it and close up the head. I'm going to grab some fiber fill there. We're going to take a piece of yarn that's the same color of our beanie, And we're going to do the same thing that we did here, but so that we can have a cinch yarn, but we're going to just pick up a full stitch. So we're going to pick up 2 bars, and you might want to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and this is 12 and 13. So let's just get that folded the right way. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Pick up that stitch at the top there, then go over 2 bars, under 2 bars, over 2 bars, under 2 bars, all the way around. I'm going to start at the back of the head. I'm going to take this out because I want my tie to be at the back. My mistake. All right, so over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2 bars. That's a whole stitch, and all the way around. Smooth this out so you're on the same row. And we're going to go all the way around. Picking up 2, over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2. There we go, almost there. Pull that through. I'm going to cut that off again so it's more manageable. I'm going to put some more fiber fill into the beanie and double check the body to make sure that it's how you want it to be as well. This is your last opportunity. If I pull those, I think that's perfect. I don't need to add that last amount. So I'm going to take these 2. I'm going to tie it. I'm going to put one of these strands back onto my needle. I'm going to just go around and reinforce the top, picking up that top row stitches all the way around, and then tightening it, tying it off to this other strand, hiding my ends. Very, very easy. All the way around. Pull tight. I'm going to tie off one more time. 1 and 2. I'll hide my ends. I'll have these needles. They're called metal wool needles. I'll have them in the description box below so you can order them there as well. And I'm going to cut that off. And there we go. Now what we want to do is we want to hide these 2 because I know that my neck is how I want it to be. So I can get those out of my way. And there we go so far. Now what we want to do is we want to shape the arms and the legs. So taking this black strand that we have at the bottom, let's start with our legs. I'm going to take a longer, bigger needle. Okay, same kind of needle, just one that's bigger. They come in a package of 3. I am a member of the Amazon Affiliates program. So when you click on any of my links and place your Amazon order, when you click on any of the links that are down below, it'll take you to your Amazon page. You don't have to purchase the item that you clicked on. You can then just search and make your order. And then my channel, I'll get a small commission off of your order there. So please always use my affiliate links. I would appreciate that, and it helps me out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our needle. Here's the back. I'm going to go all the way up to the top of that black, in the middle of the body, to the top of the black there. And I'm going to come out in the middle at the top of the black there, right in the black line. And we're going to go around again, same spot, into the back, out the front. Let that loop go over into the center there. Then you're going to pull, and that's shaping the feet right there. Now we're going to come back up into the back, up to the top where the blue is, or pardon me, where the top of the black is on the front. One more time. Then we're going to go up. We're going to follow this up because we want to make sure it's in the middle. We're going to go up about 3 stitches, 2 or 3 stitches, go straight down, straight out the back into the center, okay? And you're going to pull. See what that did? Now you're going to go back down because we didn't draw a string. We didn't tighten this here. This is where our last came out here, so we have to make sure that we trail this down to the bottom there too. So I'm going to go back down to the bottom, but then I'm going to come up to where the top of that blue one was and pull that again. Then I'm going to go up another 3 or so stitches. We're not going to go to the top. We're going to go maybe about there. Once we get there, we'll eyeball it and we'll see where it is. But okay, I'm coming out. Here's where my row is. I'm going to follow that same. I'm going to pull, but I also need to get to cinch in this end here. So now I got to go back down to that bottom, come up. I'm going to go back and go over what I came out where I started on this one as well. So I have a double strand, and then I'm going to go up a little bit more, maybe to there, and out the back, pull, and I'm going to go back down here and out. And I'm going to assess. I need to go a little bit higher. I'm going to go up a little bit further. Maybe about there. And then back down so that this piece has yarn that has drawn it in. There we go. I think that's perfect. So here's where I went. I'm going to go back in at the top and back out to the back. Just like that. I'm going to go in between, carry this down to the black. I just want to hide it in the black. But don't pull on this now because you don't want to gather it. But now I'm going to just take it where the black is here, and I'm going to pick up some yarn. Tie off a knot. Pull that knot down with my thumb. I'll tie one more. I'm going to take that yarn and I'm going to pop it into the black under the stuffing, out another end, cut it off. There we go. We have shaped our legs. Now let's get a piece of yarn that is this latte cakes, and we'll do the arms. So we shaped the legs, let's do the arms. For the arms, I'm going to use the edge of the eyes as my guide. So if I follow this down, like this is about where I'm going to go in, except for I want to come in from the back. So I'm going to take a look at it and I can see how far that is over, and I'm going to come up right in line with the eye. It doesn't have to be perfect, you guys, but somewhere in that vicinity is where I like to go. And then I'm going to it's going to start sewing it down at an angle just like that. So I'm going to first go in, so I'm half a row over. I'm going to go down about 2 stitches, 3 stitches, then I'm going to come out in the back just like that, and I'm going to pull. And again, we have to, what we do to the front, we have to do to the back. So I have to trail up to here because I have no line there. So I'm going to go back in at the top here, and I'm going to come back out at the base of this one, and I'm going to pull this one, I'm going to pull that one too, and then I'm going to go down a little bit more and into the back, and then I got to go up and back down. Oops, it's hard to see where the base of your stitch is, but it's right there. And then you're going to pull, and I'm going to angle it even more, come down to here, out. I've got to go back up to the base of this last stitch, and then down to the base of the stitch at the front, and I'm going to pull. You can see how we've got an arm happening there, and I'm not going to go all the way like that because it looks like you've cut off his limbs. Then it looks like his hand is in his pocket if you just leave it like this and you don't take it right to the very edge. Again, that would look like You've cut off his arms. This makes it look like his hands are in a pocket. So I'm just going to go back in there, come out the back. I'm going to very gently go underneath the stuffing, trail this up to the top here. Again, don't pull this because you'll gather in there and you don't want that. You're going to just knot this. 1 and 2. Then you can cut this off shorter. And hide it in your work. There's one arm. Go ahead and do the other. All right, so we have our arms done. It's looking good. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our face color yarn and we're gonna put some on our smaller needle. It's easier if you use your smaller needle. And we're going to go in between. So I have one, I'm going to count the bars because this is the bar on the one side of this eye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the center. I'm going to just pick in here. I'm going to go across. Actually, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to come out the side and come up where I want it to go. I'm going to go across 1 stitch. And then back and forth to make a little nose. That's 2. Three. That's 4. I think just 1 more. And I'm going to go down into here, then I'm going to come out where I went in over here. And 5. Then I can take these 2. I can tie them. Again, don't tighten your first one because you don't want to pull it where you don't want to change the look of your nose. So you have to be very gentle on the first tie. Then we're going to, after we've knotted it the second time, pop it on your needle into that same space, pull it out the back, lift up on here to hide that entry point, and then you can cut this off. Lift up on here, and there we go. Let's make a mouth. I'm going to grab some red. Taking my red yarn, I am going to come from the side up to the point or the corner of my mouth where I think I want it to be. Maybe about there. If you get it on the first try, you're a genius. Just saying. Okay, and then I'm going to go straight across in the same row to there, and then I'm going to bring this up to the center. Okay, when you bring this up to this where your middle of your mouth is going to be, there it is. Now I'm going to take this needle, this same stitch that I came out here, so we went straight from there to there. I'm going to go back. This is going over top of that mouth, but it's going into the same stitch underneath. So I'm going to go into that stitch, and I'm going to come out where I went in, and by going over that stitch and then pulling, you make a bit of a smile. There we go. And there we go. So now I'm going to tie off and hide my ends. There we go, friends. Now, the only thing that I can see when I'm looking at this is maybe you want to put a pom-pom at the top of the head, but I'm going to leave it like this because I just like it looks like a nice little cap, and I'm going to leave it, but you can have your options. I'm actually going to squish them a little bit like this just to fix the shape just a little bit. You can decorate however you want. You can put a scarf on them. You can put, you know, just duplicate stitching here and there and everywhere, whatever you like. But if you're using this latte cakes, take your fingers and just work that fiber, because when you knitted it, it laid it all flat, and you just want to make it nice and fuzzy. I don't do this for scarves and beanies, but for this project, I'm going to do it. Or you can take one of those wire brushes and do the same thing. And here too, let's get those fibers to be released. They were laying flat, and give it some texture. There we go. We have Ava's friend. All right, so Ava's friend is here, but Ava's friend has a friend. And I made a pink one as well. For the pink one, I put a pom-pom at the top, and I think I might do that for this boy one as well. And I used my smallest little clover pom-pom maker. It has a 35 on the back of it. I bought a set of 4 of them, and this is the smallest in the 4. And I'm going to make a pom-pom for our little guy here. Let's see, where's the end of my yarn? I do have a video on how to do this, so I'm just going to get you started, and then I'll link the video in the description box below. Or because this is so small, maybe I'll stick on. We'll see. Let's see here. You're going to wrap it around. Well, I'll just stick with you. You're going to wrap it around. See, I make decisions sometimes as I go along. And until you fill up that little section, you're going to close it. It's because it's so fast when you're making the little tiny one. You cut it off. You do the same thing to the other side. Wrapping it around. Now you don't have to do this. This is the option. This is an optional thing that I chose to do with mine. And here we go. Wrap, 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 wrap. Close that one. You're going to cut that off. You're going to cut a tail for wrapping. There we go. But then we're going to go into the side seam here. I'm doing this quickly, but if you want to see a more, a slower video, then you can go to my channel and the playlist that has techniques, and I'll show you how to do this with a bigger pom-pom maker. I'm going to put this in half so I have a loop on this side. Put that in through the center. Then I'm going to take that loop and I'm going to grab my tails, bring them through. Then I pull this really tight, just like that. And from there, I cross them up to the other side. And we tie a firm knot. 1 and 2. You can then open your little pom-pom maker, pull it apart. I love these clover pom-pom makers, you guys. I use them all the time. Now you have a little tiny pom-pom that needs to be trimmed up and made beautiful. I do this over a garbage can usually, but I'm just going to do it quickly with you here. Get it nice and even and beautiful. Any little strand that's sticking out, you know, needs to be cut off. That's good enough for now. You just see where I'm at. Okay, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to put 1 strand on my needle. That was a very fast pom-pom. I'm going to go into the center of the top of the beanie, bring it out, and I'm just going to tie these 2. 1 and 2. Putting these back on my needle. See how fast this was? If it was a bigger pom-pom, I would have done it off camera and directed you to my video, but because it's so small and you can literally do it in minutes, There it is. And he's got a pom-pom at the top of his beanie now too. You might like it, you might not. If you don't, then leave it off. And I'm not sure yet. Put in the comments what you think. Do we need to have a little pom-pom on the top of the head or no pom-pom? She turned out a little bit more stuffed than he was, but that's okay. They're adorable. So there you go, friends. This is the original Ava's friend doll, and Renda made this one, and I can only put it in the screen sideways. It doesn't fit otherwise, so we're gonna just have a sleeping doll there. And now here are the ones that I made. So thanks again for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this tutorial and that you enjoy making an Izzy doll for your favorite little person. All right, friends, take care. It's always a pleasure spending time with you. I sure appreciate you. I've told you that before, and I mean it from the bottom of my heart. You guys are the absolute best. Take care, have a blessed day, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.